Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm Jeff Howard, and I am talking to filmmaker Gavin Gaitan. Hey, Gavin.
Hi.
All right, so we are on Zoom. So, disclaimer, if you don't like the sound quality, if we talk over each other, we sound great. We're not talking over each other, but it's the audio is compressed by Zoom, and there's a micro delay, so maybe Gavin's finishing up his sentence, and then he stops and I talk, and yet it sounds like I'm talking over him. That's the micro delay. Don't yell at me. So anyway, that's my disclaimer about the quality of the podcast. Gavin is on this podcast because his film Downtown played at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival in December of 2024. First of all, it won Best in Fest for feature film. And what I didn't say, so the podcast before this one you should listen to because you'll hear all about Gavin's personal story of how he became a filmmaker and how the film Downtown came to be. Like I said, Downtown won Best in Fest at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival, a top 100 best reviewed film festival in the world out of 12,000. Just gonna, I should say that all the time. I don't.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I know. Can you believe there's 12,000 film festivals?
I'm surprised there's not more sometimes.
That's true. Although most should stop after a year or two, but
yeah, probably.
But and you also took home the Grand Jury Award for Best Feature Film Comedy. You also took home the Grand Jury Award for Best Director of a Feature Film, Best Screenplay of a Feature Film. And I'll share with you a little nugget, which is we were always, we're an idealistic film festival. And so we don't want drama and comedy and action to compete for the same award and horror, right? It doesn't make sense.
Right.
But we want to become an Oscar qualifying festival. And I learned in a conversation last year, or maybe even the year before, that it's not the whole festival that becomes Oscar qualifying. It's a specific award.
Oh,
and
wow.
So they said, so if you had a best short film award instead of best short drama, best short horror, best short whatever, then we could consider you for Oscar qualifying. But because you don't give an award for best short, we can't make you Oscar qualified. We can't even consider you. So we added the words best in fest and did it for feature, featurette, and short. And that is why we now are like all the other jerks and we say, this is the best film of the year because the American Academy of Art and Motion Picture Sciences, who hand out the Oscar, I might have gotten that name right, they forced us to add a best in fest.
Well,
so otherwise you would have had to settle for best feature film comedy, but what can I say? You got to settle now. You got your upgrade. You got best and best. All right. So anyway, people should listen to the podcast before this one to learn all about Downtown, because in this podcast, Gavin is going to answer what I call the Discover Indie Film 4 questions, which are name 3 favorite films, name an underrated film, name an overrated film, and name a lesser known film that people should seek out. It's really just a fun excuse to talk about movies. And these 4 questions were going to come at the end of the podcast. But the first 3 people to do this podcast back in 2017, I like talking. We talked for a long time. And it became clear, 2-hour podcasts aren't a good idea. So split the 4 questions into its own episode. And that's where we're at. So, all right, Gavin, you want to just, you want to tell me 3, by the way, it's intentionally not name your top 3 of all time. It's just, 3 films that you love. Mm-hmm. Lord knows it's hard to narrow it down for someone who's loved film all their lives.
Yeah. I would say, I would just go back to 3 movies that really inspired me when I was really young. One was The Dark Knight. I think I came out when I was 10, and it blew my mind. I was absolutely blown away by the spectacle of that movie, and I've seen it so many times since, and it's still incredibly impressive. But it was probably the first time that I was aware of a director's presence. I didn't really even know what a director was, but something felt different about this film. Because I was a kid and I loved watching superhero movies, but something was so different about this movie. And then later learning, well, it was the director's vision to make this film unique in the way that they did it. By making it grittier and more realistic, and it just made me, I think, realize over time a director's imprint on a typical, not just a stereotypical genre, but also a franchise that's been done again and again and again. And here was this director with like a very singular vision about how they wanted to do it, and it stood out, and it was really effective, and probably one of the best superhero movies ever made. And then the other movie, oh, sorry, go ahead, go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, it really is so clear that that was an auteur looking to take a genre, the superhero movie that we've all known so well for so long, and just raise it up to something, to a higher level, really.
Yeah, yeah. And I think I was too young to know that when I first saw it, but over time, as I saw it again and again and again, I realized that's why it was so different. It wasn't a different telling of Batman. It was a different person at the helm of Batman. And, that would be the mark of how I understood directors. It wasn't necessarily it's not necessarily the story that you're telling, it's how you're telling it. And the story can completely flop if you can have a great story, but if it's not a really strong director with a really strong vision, it'll flop. And you can have almost no story at all, but if you have an amazing director, then they can tell a really, really, really strong story. Like another film on the list would be Life is Sweet by Mike Leigh. Mike Leigh's one of my favorite directors ever, and I saw this when I was a kid, maybe like 11, maybe 12, 11 or 12, and it was a movie that was about not very much. It's a very, very, very small stakes movie about people who are not particularly glamorous at all. And it shocked me because I'd never seen anything like that in a movie before. I didn't know that at that age, I didn't know that anybody would want to make a movie about characters like that, or a movie where not much really happened. But I was like totally mystified because it felt like I had met some really new people, or I was seeing something that I had never seen before in film. And so that was really impactful for me. And then another one would be, I'm just going to say, or maybe Annie Hall. That was as it relates to comedy, was really important for me because it was so funny. I think I saw this movie when I was 10. It was so funny and it was so smart, and it was so different. And I had never seen a film that was structured that way before. I had never seen a film that was really funny but not completely absurd gags and banana peel slips and stuff, and also a film to not end with a happy ending. It hurt a lot when it didn't end happily, but it was infinitely more interesting. For me, as like a 10-year-old to see a film end in that direction. So all three of those films were all the first time I had ever seen something. It was something really different on screen, and I thought that was, anything. The films that impact me the most then and now is when I see something I've never seen before done in a film, and I'm just incredibly impressed.
And you saw them all around age 10?
Yeah, like 10 to 12.
Because I have to say, like, Annie Hall is so funny, but a lot of the humor is so dark, right? Like,
It is. I mean, most of that film was like right over my head, but I think it was Woody Allen's performance that made me, I also definitely never seen main character of a film be such kind of like nebbish, neurotic kind of weirdo, but I found it endearing. And I liked the fact that they were imperfect and uh yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely a lot of that comedy went over my head, but I still found it like amusing in some way. At least definitely because Woody Allen was just a kind of just as a goofball, you know.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, and we can. I support it. I support it, even though down the road he gets complicated.
Yeah,
I know
not
we're
this
both
guy.
pulling faces because
Oh, yeah, but I mean, I
also,
didn't know
at
that at the
least in
time.
that film, his love interest was his age too.
Yeah, there you go. That was really nice.
There's actually one of our jury members and he just can't get over that I can't watch Woody anymore. And
Yeah,
I kept telling him, I'm like, every film I see, his love interest is the age of his daughter or granddaughter. And I just can't watch that anymore. And this was
yeah, yeah,
before the expose by Ronan Farrow. So
yeah.
like it was just, I'm like, I can't watch it. It's just not for me.
Right.
I know.
Yeah, and also, I mean, he always is playing himself, you know. I mean, there's like
Yeah, the
separating,
voice gets old.
yeah, and the art, you know, like separating the art from the artist, and you can't. It's really hard to do that with him because he just is playing Woody, you know, and so and it's him. We know him now, so yeah, that's hard. But
Yeah,
it did.
actually, in truth, I actually have a hard time with him winning some screenwriting awards here and there because even like Bullets Over Broadway, I'm like, wait a minute, John Cusack's voice is Woody Allen's. Like, does he really only have one? Can he really only write in one voice? Is he
Yeah, he
really?
kind of yeah he does have like one speed in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, so anyway, all right, fair enough. All right, question number two is that a film that you consider underrated?
Um, I would say a movie 43. That movie, people hate that movie. I think it's so funny and so absurd and stupid, but it's brilliant. I mean, you really have to have, you know, an immature sense of humor, but it's great. It's hilarious. And I think it makes me happy to see that a film that profoundly stupid got greenlit. And they did all the things that they did in that movie because I mean it's such immature comedy, but I mean it's brilliant. I'm just so happy that they made that and that good actors were involved in that project. And then another one I would say is A Christmas Story, which a lot of people really love that movie. It's not underhyped in any way, but I think it's like a cinematic masterpiece. Like I could write a thesis paper on it's not just a good holiday movie. It is a great film, period. And I think it should be like part of the Criterion Collection. I think it's like a perfect diamond of a film.
Well, two things. One is I haven't seen movie 43. I don't even haven't heard of movie 43.
The
So I
kind of
might have typed it with just my left hand. A series of interconnected short films. That sounds familiar.
yeah, that was a huge motivator for my first one, definitely.
Huge motivator for so and now looking at who the directors were and whatnot, it sounds like something I got to see. It also sounds like it's in the tradition of one of my favorite films of all time. Actually, two, but is Kentucky Fried Movie.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. That was another
Like in
inspiration.
movie 43, like even reading it sounds like. So anyway, and
Definitely.
I'm with you on Christmas Story. Christmas Story is just a great coming of age
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a
story.
masterpiece. The writing is fantastic. The storytelling, the style, the detail of down to like the production design, um, the structure of the episodic structure of the story as I think it's just
Look,
brilliant.
I'll come out of the. I'll just come out and admit it. Like I'm a Grinch. I do not like Christmas. I do not like the holidays. I am getting me to watch a Christmas movie takes a lot. Takes a
Okay,
lot. I'm just I understand. I accept the rest of the world loves it. So I
sure.
don't expect anyone else to hate Christmas, but I do not like Christmas, and I do like A Christmas Story.
Good. Love to hear that.
Takes a lot. Takes a lot. I also like Elf. But that's about it.
All right. All right. Fair enough.
Fair enough. I know. All right. Well, the next question is always a little fun. I will spare you my disclaimer on it and just see if you've got something that you want to say is a film that is overrated.
Um, I mean, there's like plenty of movies. I mean, there's movies that like, I mean, every year there are movies that come out. I recently walked out of Almodovar's most recent film. I walked out of Amelia Perez. Those have been huge award winners. But I would say this is my most controversial. I didn't like Shawshank Redemption. I thought it was too Hollywoody for me. And also, I think just by the virtue of the word overrated, uh, for me that movie would be Get Out. It's a good movie. It's a very good movie, but the way people talk about it is like I don't know. It's like it gets more praise than I think it deserves, or it's considered like. I mean, I've heard it talked about. Like, I think the WGA gave it the best screenplay of all, of all time. It was voted on or something like that, and people put it on a list of the best movies made in the 21st century. I don't know. It's a good movie. It is a very. It is. It's
It's a
a
great
fun,
movie. It's a great movie. But
but it's
by the way, you nailed my disclaimer would have been we're not saying it's a bad film.
no, no,
You're
definitely
just
not.
saying
No,
the praise. I mean,
is
I love Get
overrated.
Out. I
Yeah.
think I like Us even more.
Yeah, I mean, I think Nope is like a
Yeah,
master.
Nope
I
too.
think Nope was like fantastic. That is like really mature, deep filmmaking, and like the level of spectacle that he was able to achieve. Get Out is a good movie, and it feels like a good director's first movie, but it's young and doesn't have like the same level of like maturity that something like Nope does, which just has like this kind of universal gravity to it. But again, it's a good movie. But like, I
Yeah,
when
but they give him
I
an
saw it,
Oscar for writing Get Out, and they don't give him an Oscar for writing Nope or Us. I think
yeah,
Us was
yeah,
was like the one where he really leaned into it, and oh man. But anyway, I could talk about that film for ages. I will say that Get Out is also a wonderful film to show your teenager because it opens up a brilliant conversation about racism and
yeah,
slavery and agency over other humans' bodies. So there's so much to it. It's great.
yeah. That definitely, and probably more so than 12 Years a Slave. Which is as a teenager is going to be a tough watch. Although that's a phenomenal movie by a
Phenomenal, phenomenal.
extremely talented director. Get Out is a good introducer, like here's a fun horror movie, but then there's the layers underneath that you can explain as well.
Yeah, yeah. Or maybe I was just lucky that my kid said, "Why do they want to jump in their bodies?" And I was like,
Mhm.
"All right, now I get to, thank you, Jordan. Now
Nice.
I get to have a nice talk with my stepdaughter." All right. So anyway, uh, last question is. Oh, by the way, I'm just gonna. The great thing is, my wife went out. She left the house, so now I can safely say, I think Shawshank's overrated. It's in her top three.
Okay.
She has
People
excellent
love,
taste. She has excellent taste. And a lot
uh-huh.
of people I know with excellent taste love that movie. And for
Yeah.
that reason, I've seen it many times because you're always like stuck watching it with someone who loves it. And I'm just like, I just don't get it, to be honest. It wasn't made for me, I guess.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, listen, it's a Stephen King, so
Mm.
it's like the story's dynamite, but I mean, it's like for me, it's very polished, it's very Hollywood, it's very formulaic, and like just doesn't, I don't know, just doesn't hit for me.
Yeah, yeah, same here, same here. Although I would say even worse things about it than you did. So there you go. Because
Okay.
for me, it just doesn't, I don't care about those characters.
Hmm. I see.
And if I
Okay.
don't care about the
Fair enough.
characters, why should I watch the movie? All right, so anyway. And by the way, I would never admit that if my wife, I might have, no, I could. Anyway, I'll stop trying to be funny about Shawshank and let you answer question number 4, which is a lesser known film that people should seek out.
Um, Man, I mean, that's so hard, but Um, I mean, I'll talk about something I saw recently called A Prophet by Jacques Audiard. He's the guy actually who made Amelia Perez. He's an amazing filmmaker, amazing. Um, and I saw this recently. I'd never heard of it before. I had seen two of his movies, Sisters Brothers, and Rust and Bone, which were both pretty good. Rust and Bone's amazing. Sisters Brothers was just okay. But when I watched this one, I mean, like, I was like astounded. I was just absolutely rocked. I mean, the storytelling, the arc of this character over the course of like 2.5 hours is just bulletproof. I mean, it's one of the strongest scripts that I've seen turned into film, and the performances, the casting. Like I was absolutely blown away, and I'd never heard of this movie. I'd never seen it on lists or anything. I didn't know anything about it, and I saw it, and it just absolutely rocked me. So check that movie out, definitely.
I have not seen it, so it is now going to go on the list. I just wish I had more time. Go figure. All right. Well, excellent list.
Thank you.
I was going to joke that movie 43 could have been your lesser known to seek out.
I mean, listen, people do know about that movie and they really don't like it. So, this one I haven't heard anything about.
So they really shit on it, huh? That'll be
yeah, seriously. But I mean, I don't know. I dig it. I think it's funny.
All right. Well, it's got the dude from The Bear, but
yeah.
I'll ask you a really silly personal question, which is, would movie 43 be good or bad to watch with a 17-year-old high school senior?
Ooh, it would be.
Is there any sex? Because it says raunchy, I think.
Oh, it's raunchy. Now, it would be good. Or no, it would be bad because there's going to be a lot of stuff in there that's going to be rough to watch with your kid. But I would be good because if they have that sense of humor, they'd be like, "Nice, Dad. That was."
But the thing is, she'd rather watch it with her friends because she literally. I think this makes perfect sense. She still will like look away and cover her face if there's something sexy. If we're on the couch too,
fair enough.
I'm like, does that still embarrass you? She goes, no, it embarrasses me that you're here.
Yeah, definitely. Which she's entitled to do that. I just saw Baby Girl with my parents, which was an interesting watch. I definitely wouldn't have been able to handle it if I was her age. But older now, I guess.
Well, too bad we don't live in the era of physical media, because then I could have just like gotten the DVD, watched it with the wife, and then left the DVD out on like the kitchen counter, and then let her watch it on her own, like without us, looking over, like, yeah, because no, I definitely look. It's not like I'm going to show her Kentucky Fried Movie, because she does not need to see Catholic high school girls in trouble.
Right, totally.
Oh my God, that would be the most traumatic thing in her life to date, which is a testament to how good her life has been. All right, well, I guess we can wrap it up. First of all, thank you, Gavin.
You.
People who want to follow you, the Instagram for Downtown Movie will be a clickable link in the show notes.
Great.
And talking about the show notes, there'll also be tons of clickable links. This is the Discover Indie Film Podcast. If you want to learn more, go to discoverindiefilm.com or at DIFwins on social media. Both should be clickable links in the show notes. Downtown took home all those awards at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival. People can learn about that festival that we hold every December by going to ShermanOaksFF.com, and it's at Sherman Oaks FF on social media. Sister Festival, Film Invasion Los Angeles, is every June, and we're starting this is the 10th anniversary year for both festivals. So the 10th edition of Film Invasion LA will be in June, the 20th to the 22nd. 3 screens this time. So anyway, filminvasionla.com is the website. At filminvasionla.com. At filminvasionla is the social media. And finally, if you love indie film, check out indiechannel.tv. And I will leave it at that. Gavin, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
And thank you, everyone, for listening.